Welcome back to the Wisdom from the Cradle series. Today I am joined by Genevieve, chanter, midwife, wife and new mother, and daughter of a priest. Genevieve comes from a family deeply rooted in the Orthodox faith and has kindly agreed to share some of her wisdom and experiences with us today. In this first part, we will talk about her early life and her journey as a chanter in the Orthodox Church, how her upbringing shaped her faith, what drew her to chanting, and what it means to give voice to the services of the Church. Genevieve, thank you for joining us. Let's begin. Is there anything you would like to open up with, like share about your background or...
Yeah, I'm one of 5 children, daughter to a priest, as you mentioned. But I don't think that's why I grew up so close to the church. My parents always made sure to tell us as children that we don't attend all the services and such, and we're not so involved in the life of the church because we have to be because our dad is a priest. We are because we love the church, and this is what our life would look like, even if we were, just lay people.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's good.
I always appreciated that.
I mean, that's pretty much like the groundwork for even the raising your future children, not just Oliver, but, it's just like whether your husband, Tom, becomes a deacon or not, this is what we're going to do. This is our spiritual life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank God. So how was your Dormition fast?
It was challenging, but also beautiful. I love Dormition. It's probably maybe my favorite of the 4 fasts of the year because of the Parochlysis service.
Okay.
Because I love Parochlysis so much. This year was a little bumpy. Didn't expect it to be that way from the chanter stand. I thought it was going to be smooth sailing, but after the first evening, we found out it was not. So my brother and I did a lot of work on the service, and I think by the end we were doing okay. But it was also challenging because it was the first time that we've entered into a season of going to church every night since having the baby, and living so far from the church. I mean, not as far as you, of course, but it feels far compared to how I grew up across the street from the church. Traveling that far every day with the baby was a challenge.
When you're talking about there's like some bumps, can you go into detail about that? What were these bumps for this demonstration for you?
I think, really just in regards to the Parochlysis service is what I meant. I thought that I know the Parochlysis service very well. I've been singing it my whole life. My parents have been singing it to me since before I could sing. And since having the baby, I sing the Parochlysis to him a lot. It's one of my favorites. And so going into it, I thought that we were all set. We didn't have any reason to go over the service. We didn't have any reason to look at the music. But we were working from different versions of the music and weren't sure who was going to sing what and what the speeds were going to be. And so the first one was a little rough. That was kind of upsetting, but we worked through it.
Legitimate winging it last moment.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, what were your thoughts about this project when you first heard about it?
I thought, how is he going to find anybody other than my siblings and I to interview? Yeah. Which so far,
that's
been borne out, yes. But I imagine that you'll go around to other Middle Tennessee parishes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want it to feel pretentious, I guess. Like, even the idea of setting myself up as somebody who has wisdom to share feels presumptuous and pretentious, I guess. Well,
just to save you from that, I'll say I'm the one who's saying you have wisdom to share. You could be like, oh no, this is just basic orthodoxy, It's your own fault that you don't know it.
Okay.
That'll kind of save you from that feeling of presumptuous. What are your earliest memories of your church life or prayer at home?
My earliest memory of my life actually involves the church. It's a very vague memory because I was very little, not not quite 2 years old, I think, close to 2. And I remember being at the Dormition Monastery, actually, up in Michigan. Yeah, it's a very shadowy memory, but my mother tells me about it. I was very little, but I would get up at 4 a.m, walk across the courtyard in the cold and the dark to the church all by myself, and I would sit on the feet of one of the nuns for the early morning service. Yeah, I don't remember all of that. Just remember the cold and their little children's garden. Yeah. Yeah, besides that, prayer at home was, I don't know, mundane for me.
Mundane.
You know? Yeah, although I've been hearkening back to my childhood memories recently having my own baby, because I'm realizing, I've got to do this stuff with him now. You know? For example, a few weeks ago, my mom was singing the prayer after the meals, like for thanks after a meal. And I had completely forgotten that we used to sing that after every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, in our home growing up. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to remember this stuff. I've got to do this with my son now. Because I guess I've lapsed a bit from that kind of stuff. But yeah, we did evening prayers together as a family. My parents would sing a silly song to summon us all from the different corners of the house. They would ring those little bells, little chimes. They'd always light incense. And we'd pray together. At the end, they would go through the list of family saints, and we'd each ask our saint to pray for us and venerate their icon. In the mornings, it was just my mom and us, of course. Before homeschooling, we'd say our morning prayers. And she had the morning prayers divided up so that each of us had something to read or recite, which was really good because it involved us.
Yeah.
And we each had little note cards with names of people to pray for, God family or extended family. We'd all read those aloud as well. And that was really nice, our own little piece of the prayers to take ownership over and participate in instead of just standing there and listening to Mama pray.
Yeah. Make sure the entirety of the family is involved.
Yeah.
Or as a family, stick together. Yeah, of course. So was there a moment you first felt that the faith was your own, not just your family's? Was it a gradual kind of growth into it, or was it an epiphany kind of moment?
As a younger child, it wasn't something that I ever questioned. It's, I don't know how to describe it to somebody who didn't experience it, but I guess maybe it's almost like speaking English, you don't question that there's another language that you could be speaking or you could be learning, because it's just a part of your identity, and how you live. And I think it felt that way. It did always feel very, very special to my family. It felt special to be the family of the priest. To grow up watching my dad take such delight in serving the church, and in performing the services. But then as a teenager, it was different, I guess. It didn't feel like my own. I didn't know. I didn't really know if it was. But I came back around.
That's good. That seems to be a thing of talking to some other, not interview wise, but some other cradle-Orthodox, where it's if it's not their parents, maybe it was one of their very pious grandparents or something like that, where it's just something they're surrounded by, and it becomes such second nature. The idea of having something outside of it was just incomprehensible for them. So
yeah, exactly.
So what was the Orthodox community around you like growing up? I guess maybe before Tennessee, and then...
Oh, yeah. I don't have many memories of it before Tennessee. And I know it was different than our community here. Yeah, I mean, my parents' memories of their time in seminary was it was a hard time, but there was a lot of grace during that time as well. And it seems like a lovely little community because you're surrounded by people who are somewhat set apart, I guess, from the body of the general Orthodox faithful across the country, because these are people who have chosen the priesthood, or I guess the priesthood has chosen them, they say. They know that this is their vocation, and it asks more of you. And on the day-to-day level, these are people who are deeply committed to the church, who want the church to be the first thing in their life, and so they're living that way. So you're fasting all together. You're attending all the services all together. I guess there aren't really varying levels of commitment to the church or varying levels of the importance that the faith takes in your life at seminary. You know, you're all deeply committed and you're all doing it together. So that seems really special. And I have friends who are in seminary now, and it sounds like that's been their experience as well. So very, very supportive, you know, to be surrounded by so many like-minded families. Yeah, and then after that, we were at a larger church, and I don't have many memories there, but they're good ones. They're good ones. Yeah, I remember people from there. You know, I loved them. I remember my Sunday school class. I was the only girl with 7 boys. I thought they were so dumb.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was 3 years old. Okay, I was 3 years old. Yep.
So what you remember from your time growing up, did you have any particular role models, you know, priests, monastics, or other like lay people? Anything you would like to share about them?
Yeah, there was one nun in particular named Sister Martha. Every summer we'd go with some of the other seminary wives and their families while the seminarians were, I don't know, they had something to do during the summer. And we would go to the Monastery of the Transfiguration in Pennsylvania. And Sister Martha was a young nun. I think she may have been the youngest at the time. And I just wanted to be just like her when I grew up. And at the time, I thought I was going to be a nun. My mom sewed me a little habit costume, and I would go around the house dressed like a nun. Yep. But I guess I didn't quite put together that, you know, if you're a nun, you don't have a family, because I would be wearing a monastic habit with a baby doll strapped to my chest. Bit of a scandalous look, maybe, but I didn't realize. Yeah, I loved Sister Martha. I loved the nuns. It was probably my favorite place as a young child to be. It's a lovely monastery.
Is she still around, or is she?
Well, funnily enough, she was a 12-year novice, I believe, and from age 18 until she was 30. When she was 30, she actually discerned a different call for her life, left the monastery, and is now married with 3 daughters. So, I guess she can continue to be a role model for me, I guess, since now our vocations align again.
It's an interesting turn.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it almost reminds me of The Sound of Music. You know, Maria?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure she's...
Just for the audience, I don't watch Sound of Music, okay?
No, his eyes lit up. His eyes lit up. He said, yes, of course.
All right. No comment. One of the ways you've served the church is as a chanter. Can you tell me how that began?
As a child, I wasn't part of the chanter stand, but I remember, occasionally joining for services during Lent or evening services where there weren't very many people and weren't very many chanters. I remember doing a specific part of the Great Compline service in Great Lent that my sisters and I would join the chanter stand for. But I didn't aspire to be a chanter. It wasn't a particular love of mine, and I would join on and off, little bits here and there, I guess, as I grew up, but never strongly committed. But I always sang in the choir, but I wasn't comfortable at the chanter stand. I was very nervous. And just didn't felt like I belonged there, which honestly is really still true. But I think I started chanting most regularly during COVID, when it was just my family. Because most churches, at the very beginning were trimmed down to, the priest, a couple of altar servers, and a couple of chanters. And for my family, all of those are within our family.
Yeah.
We have altar servers and we have chanters. So we were doing all of the services for Lent. And that continued for quite a while. So I guess I've basically been full-time or regular at the chanter stand since that point.
Okay. Do you feel like y'all grew more connected during that COVID time where it was just y'all serving together like that? Whereas you and your sisters, and your brothers, and, all of y'all doing these services consistently with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I know that for my parents especially, it was a harrowing and horrible time, but at home, it was wonderful because, at that point, we're all young adults and teenagers, and we're pretty scattered. We all live together at that point, but we're always doing different things. We're at college, we're with boyfriends, we're out, we're in, and we're rarely together as a family. And then all of a sudden, everything shuts down. We're together as a family all the time. And that was really sweet. There was a real sweetness to that in the midst of the struggle. And it was really sad. Especially Pascha. Pascha, I think, was tricky because it was just us, alone. And that's never how an Orthodox Christian should experience Pascha. It was beautiful that we were together, and I thank God for that. But I remember us stepping away from the live stream and crying after the service, So, yeah, beautiful, sad,
So, like you said, it wasn't something you sought out to do, but it's sort of kind of like thrown upon you, I guess, in a way, like you're voluntold. So.
Yeah, I guess. I really don't feel that, that it's where I belong. I don't feel that I'm musically gifted. I mean, I can do it. Usually. But yeah, my older sister was always the one leading. My younger sister's also very musical. And I felt just kind of pulled along because they were nice, because they wanted to do things together. And then when my older sister moved away, it left a vacancy at the chanter stand. And that was filled-ish, with people who are new and learning. And so I really felt like I needed to commit to helping out. Yeah, but really not because I'm musically gifted, but because I'm cradle, because I grew up singing the services, so I know the services, I know the routines, just to kind of help people along who I guess didn't know them as well.
So what was the hardest part about, one, learning the actual chanting, and then essentially taking it head on where you're kind of up front,
it's silly. It really is. But it's, I'll never sing. Okay. This sounds really petty. Okay. But I'll never sing as well as my sisters. And they're not here and I am, so I'm singing. But I'll always have that, I guess that sense that I don't belong and that there are people more qualified who should be doing this. So I guess, yeah. I really feel like at the root of it is pride, because I'm just always thinking about what other people are thinking of me. But I say that's been the biggest struggle. I'll always be hearing my sisters in my head and always comparing myself. And I'll never be as good, but that's okay. I'm okay with that now because I'm here. Something needed to be done, and I'm doing it most of the time. And I'm what we've got, I guess.
Maybe I should have done this at the beginning. Can you describe the difference between what a chanter does and what somebody in the choir is required to do?
Yeah. Okay. So the choir is communal singing. So for many of the hymns, example for the Divine Liturgy is done fully by the choir, not by the chanters. The choir sings choral pieces, 4-part pieces all together. So you're singing a part. You're one voice. You're not singing by yourself, except for the odd verse here and there. And you're just one voice amongst the multitude. But for, I guess, basically all of the other services, Vespers, Matins, all the various services during the fasts and feasts, it's the chanters at the chanter stand, and that's Byzantine chant, which we use at our church, and that's the 8 tones and the variable text. It's music that's always changing, to honor whichever saint or feast we're celebrating. And it's a smaller number, I suppose, the chanters, than the choir. They're usually 4 to 6 of us, I'd say, at this point. And there's a lead chanter, the protosaltus, who delegates, the various hymns or texts to be chanted.
Okay. And so I guess the chanter, they're one voice doing like a hymn or whatever, and then it goes to the next chanter. And
yeah, it's more often singing something on your own in one of the tones. Yeah, because it's not choral music. We're not all singing together.
I know plenty of people who are kind of intimidated by doing something like that. It's very easy to just sort of blend in with the crowd, like in the choir. Was that ever something you had to deal with, like that, almost like stage fright?
Yes. Oh my gosh, always.
Yeah.
And even now, still, often, not all the time, but yeah, goodness, for all my life, anytime I would be at the chanter stand, I'd be so nervous, so embarrassed. Because you're on your own, I guess, and I wouldn't want to do the more complicated or more hymns that felt more significant, because I didn't know them as well. And I guess I got over it somewhat, but I'll still feel it every now and again. And it's not that I've gotten that much better. It's that I guess doing it enough, repeating it enough. I just realized, I'm probably going to mess up. Probably not going to do it perfectly. Definitely not going to do it as well as it could be done. But here we are. Just got to do it. Yeah. I guess I just got tired of being nervous all the time.
Yeah, good. What does chanting mean to you personally? Like, what do you feel during that time, other than thinking about your sisters?
Yeah, it's really difficult for me to I guess, enter into prayer fully during the services when I'm at the chanter stand. It's a little bit of both. Because at the chanter stand, I'm blessed to be able to have the text in front of me. you know, so I can really focus in on the words. I'm not missing any words. And you can, I feel like I get a deeper look at the content of what we're singing than when I'm standing in the congregation. But also I am frequently caught up in my own distractions having to do with the chanter stand, you know, like it's not, you know, how the service is going or how it's being done or what should be happening or what's coming next or what I need to prepare for. So that's my constant struggle, I think, is to not allow, I guess, the technicalities of the service to distract me from worship.
Have you learned like ways in which that you can balance that technical side with the prayer side so you can get a little more prayer out of it?
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with being humble.
Yeah.
Like, and specifically letting go of the reins, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm usually not leading the service. You know, sometimes I do. But I'm usually not leading the service, but I always want to be kind of like the backseat driver, I guess. You know, like the current leader hasn't been doing it that long. And I have been chanting longer than he's been leading. So, okay, this sounds mean, but he's my brother. So I just have to say that. I have to say that he's my brother. I wouldn't say this about anybody else.
Okay.
So not that I know better how to chant. He's very musically gifted, where I am not. But I know how we do things, I guess. And I get really attached to, like, there's a St. Elizabeth's way to do it, you know, which is not necessarily true. And he maybe wants to come in and innovate, or what if we did this way? So for me to let go, you know, of the reins, which are not even mine to hold, and just do as I'm told, I guess. Yeah. Do as I'm told by my younger brother. So another layer to that. Yeah. But that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. And when I can do that, I can focus much more on what I'm supposed to be doing, which is pray.
Speaking of which, has there ever been a particular hymn or service that really kind of like hit a bit deeper when you're chanting? Like something that kind of like stood out or made you kind of like connect a little more deeper with God?
I remember one service, and this was a long time ago. I think I was 16. And when I was 16, I was just starting college because I went early. And I was really so caught up and anxious about like what my path was in the world. I was desperate to find out what I was supposed to do. And I was really untethered to the faith at that time. I was holding it very loosely, and, you know, doing the typical boring, questioning everything, blah, 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 whatever, that lots of teenagers do, you know. It's not a special rebellion. But it's normal, you know, to question the things that you've just taken as gospel your whole life. Anyway, so 16 felt like I was in such turmoil. I was also experiencing a deep depression. And I remember one day I was just really trying to work all of this out, and really feeling so upset at not knowing where my life was going. And I felt like I needed to know. Anyway, so went to Vespers. I'm feeling awful. I'm feeling so upset. And, you know, having all my little feelings about God, are you even there? You know, what even is the church? You know, all that silly stuff. But genuine, you know, these were actual feelings of mine. And I was about to walk out. We're singing Lord, I've Cried.
Yeah.
I was about to walk out. I decided, okay, I'll wait until he finishes sensing that I'm just going to leave and go home. I can't stand to be here right now. And then, Lord, I've Cried, we sing the verse, of Psalm, I think at the very beginning of Psalm 141, when my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't even listening.
Yeah.
Okay? I wasn't even listening. And then that just kind of like smacked me upside the head. And I got full body chills. I was like, what? My spirit is overwhelmed within me.
Yeah.
Right now. That is exactly a perfect descriptor of what I'm going through. My spirit is entirely overwhelmed within me. But yeah, it just felt like a little bonk on the noggin, I guess, you know? That he knows my path. Yeah. Yeah, that felt really.
So that was your moment of like, okay, step aside of my own, because I'm getting in my own way. Yeah.
Exactly. He knows my path.
Looking back, you know, when you first start, like when you're growing up, and then now that you're, you know, more steady in serving as a chanter, how do you see that shaping your spiritual life today?
I feel grateful for it. I think because I do get such an inside look at the services, I guess. And it really, I feel like I don't always know what my place is at the church, like our particular parish. Yeah. And this is a gift that this is one of my places for now. You know, this is something for me to do. And yeah, it's just, I'd say mostly that, a way to engage more deeply with the services and with the life of the church. You know, it's important to me to attend as many of the services as I can. And this is another little pull to come to church, you know, if I'm expected at the chanter stand. Yeah.
Obligation.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So what advice, like, given that you struggle with this feeling of, you know, the intimidation and the feeling of like unworthy, unqualified, what advice would you give to a convert or even a cradle who feels the same way but wants to possibly pursue being a chanter?
I think that you should practice a lot and try to learn. Because I don't think it always works for you just to come to the chanter stand, because it's Byzantine chant is, you know, it's a little foreign to our Western ears. You know, if you didn't, most of us grew up listening to, you know, traditional scale of Western music, and Byzantine chant is different. Not that it's hard to learn. Not that at all. But I think if you just show up at the chanter stand and open your mouth and expect chanting to come out, then I don't think it's necessarily going to work. I mean, yeah, maybe for some people. That's not my experience. But yeah, I think working on it a lot on your own time and working with the other chanters, you know, outside of the services, I think that has the benefit both of having, you know, helping you actually learn, and also getting you familiar with chanting so that maybe when it's time to do it in the service, you won't be as nervous, or as intimidated. Yeah. And then also just starting slow, you know, just ask the priest, of course, and the protosaltus if you can join for a vespers and sing a couple verses, you know, or just read a psalm just to start. You don't have to, you're not expected to sing the longest, most fancy hymn, you know, when you're just starting out. But also, you know, don't get in your own way. If this is a way that you're being called to serve the church, then, listen to it and do your best, and don't make it all about you. And let me know if you figure out how to do that.
All right. So some people like a book or maybe like a recording or something like that. Is there any in particular you would suggest for a beginner?
Yeah, I used to listen a lot, like every Vespers, every Saturday on the way to Vespers or during the day before Vespers, I would listen to a recording of Lord, I Have Cried on YouTube. Actually done by chanters at our own church. But that was helpful because it was, the music that I was actually going to be about to be singing in the style that we sing it. Yeah, I think the channel is called Orthodox Chanting 101, I think.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube. Yeah, and that was really helpful for me. Yeah, just to sing along with, and read the music as I go, the music from the Antiochian website. Yeah.
All right. So some people have favorite tones, something that kind of resonates with them. What about you?
Yeah, I have favorite tones to listen to and then favorite tones to sing. My favorite tones to listen to are probably tone 5 number 1 and tone 3 number 2, but only if it's done well, and I cannot do it well. So tone 3 is also sort of my least favorite tone.
Right.
Because when I know it's coming up, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest one for me. I cannot sing it well. And it's so beautiful. I don't want to butcher it, which I pretty much invariably do. Yeah, so those are the best to listen to, in my opinion. But for singing, probably tone 7.
Tone 7.
Yeah, okay. I love singing tone 7. It's fun, it's bouncy. I think it's called grave tone, which I don't know why, because it sounds pretty peppy to me. But yeah. I like tone 7. It's so fun.
Well, it kind of makes me think about like the lamentation service. Yeah, where it's like the first half, it's really like solemn, kind of sad. And then like, I don't know what part, but like halfway through, it just like completely flips. And now we're like very celebratory. Yeah. Like for the Dormition lamentation service, it was like, and I think it's the same with St. Lazarus's lamentations on Vespers. I think there's part of that as well. I don't know. Personally, that's one of my favorite services is the lamentations. Yeah. So I think you might have covered this earlier. Other than Pascha, is there like a very particular feast day hymn or service that has been especially meaningful to you?
I'd say the Paraclesis service, probably the entire Paraclesis service. Yeah, it's definitely up there among my favorites. Maybe my favorite. Yeah. And then the Feast of Theophany. As well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's not not a ton of, I guess, particularly special music for Theophany. I love the Theophany Troparion. But yeah, just the Feast of Lights, the feast in the midst of winter. Yeah, it was really special. Yeah, music wise though, I'd probably say Paraclesis.
Do you feel like that this part of your life as a chanter has prepared you for, marriage and then motherhood as well in any way, or it's been kind of not as deep of an impact?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess having to listen to somebody else. Yeah, I think that applies. It's funny. I always expected to take a break. There were many years. I've been singing in the choir since I was 11 and chanting, off and on. So not that long, but long enough that I was really looking forward to taking a break.
Yeah.
When I had a baby, because I was like, surely I'm not going to be able to manage chanting and having a little baby at the same time. Well, here I am with a little baby, still chanting, usually. Thank God for my husband and my mom, who usually help with the baby, but sometimes I have to nurse him, while I'm chanting. And thinking, this is really not how I expected it to go. I really expected to have to take a break from the chanter stand. And as the time approached, during my pregnancy, I wasn't looking forward to it anymore. For years, I've been thinking about this time when I won't feel obligated to sing in church because I'll have the responsibility of a baby instead. And I just really was, wanting a break and felt like I had been there for too long. But then I didn't want to. And it was especially the Proclasis service. I had him at the very end of April, but I was already looking ahead towards the Proclasis, and imagining August coming and my baby would be a couple months old. And of course I would bring him to Proclasis, but I couldn't imagine not singing the Proclasis service. So I sang the Proclasis service. And I'm still chanting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thankful that I can. And thankful to find that I wanted to. Yeah. I always thought I'd be looking for an opportunity to stop. And that opportunity came. I said, I'll keep going a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not really actually.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah. As we close, I hope what has been shared here encourages you all to see Orthodoxy as something living and personal. As St. Paisios the Athonite says, those who have been raised Orthodox from birth should not take this as a small thing. They must guard this inheritance with gratitude, lest it be lost. All of us together make up the body of Christ, and all of us have something to offer. May God bless you and strengthen you as you continue on the path. Until next time, stay steadfast, stay humble, and thank you for joining us.